Hi there, it's Andrew Doherty again, Waterford Harbour Tides and Tales. And this week I'm coming to you from the Kilkenny side. Here we are at what I know is Snow Hill and Snow Hill Quay. A lovely dock here. You just get a sense of the fine stonework that went into it. It's L-shaped, and then it's further enclosed from the east by what was before just a set of poles running in there to the boathouse, which you can just see under the canopy of the trees, and we'll go in there in a while. Anyway, that protected it from the east wind. The bank itself, or the headland there, protected it from the north, and then the quay itself protected it from the southerlies and southwesterlies. See, Brendan is doing a survey at the moment. Brendan Glody. And the Spanko Simplicity is just after going down there. It's just gone out of view. Anyway, here we are, Snow Hill. That's Cheap Point across the way. If we pan up this way then, you can see the glazing wood, as we call it in Cheap Point, the Kilkenny side of the Minoan, and leading on up there then towards Waterford. And then if we come back down, try not to make you seasick with the speed of this, and back down, the tide is coming in at the moment, full tide. That's Great Island there, obviously the two chimneys, and then the Barrow Bridge. So we're in Kilkenny, that's Wexford, and Waterford then is on our right. And this is the quay. So this is what I wanted to talk about today and show you a little bit of it. So we're just up at the western end of it there now, just the tip of it. It's a good 30-40 feet long. This is the piece facing out onto the river. Unfortunately it's fairly badly deteriorated. And then here, these were very impressive at one point, a set of steps, cut stone steps that would have led down and would have allowed access to a boat. And then further up, it brings us up towards what was Snow Hill House. Now I'm after coming in onto the shore and just looking out at the upper end of the quay, or I suppose you call it the western end, and looking across then towards the rookery. And I came all the way in. If you look here, you see a really very well made stone wall. Now it's starting to fall in places. Went all the way up to the point there at Snow Hill. And there was a lighthouse, and there still is up there. So just to say something about the house. So we always knew it in Cheap Point as Snow Hill, and Snow Hill House was up above. And although when I was a child growing up, the house was gone. I do know from reading Jim Welch's work that it was a 5-bay Georgian mansion, and it was built by the Snow family, and they of course took over the land here at Drumdowney. It's in the townland of Drumdowney, but they took it over after the Cromwellian invasion. And subsequently this 5-bay Georgian mansion was built up the road, this roadway here, which leads up onto the hill. So the Powers, a Catholic family by the name of Power, eventually took it over, and some people would have referred to it as Power Hall, and the quay was then at that point known as Power Quay, or Powers Quay. And I've seen it referenced as that in some newspaper accounts. Just to give you a sense of how nice it looked. This is it's a stone and brick arch, and it was obviously gated, because you can see here there's metal for hinges, and up on this side there's a recess. I don't want to disturb it, but you can see the recess where it went in. So on both sides So this would have been gated to be for protection or for privacy, I guess. And you can see the way. So it's built up and it swirls, or curves, I beg your pardon, it curves up and around, up towards the house, which of course is further on up and is now no more. It was knocked in the 50s. If you want to know more about the house or about some of the occupants, I've done a blog on it. And for YouTube users, I'll put it in the section below, in the description. And sure, obviously I'll put it up for Facebook users in the comments piece. Anyway, that was the arch that led down to the quay. And the last piece I wanted to show you was the boathouse. Right, so we're back and I've moved over towards where the boathouse is. And obviously you can see where we came in initially, and I've come up along the quay and I've come along the strand here. It's fairly mucky. You can see the stonework continues over, and then you have this arch area here, and it invites you in to what was once the boathouse. I love the stone here. It's almost like a cobbled effect, and obviously then boats would have been brought up here using rollers, like timber rollers that we use still today for the punt, to get her up or get her out at winter and summer. Again, you can see metal hinge, so obviously this was doored, or there was doors in place. I was going to say gated, possibly gated, I don't know. And you can get a sense of the extent of it. It's after becoming very overgrown. All this laurel is encroaching and taking over. But you can see the extent of it all the way back. And obviously there was an access door at the back. I better not go much further. But you can see, obviously this is after filling up over the years. And that back gable is after falling down. Just get a better view of it there. A couple of gaps in the walls, say for holding stuff, I don't know for certain, but you can get an idea of the extent of it there, leading up and away. So you would have quite comfortably fitted in a couple of boats in here for the winter time. And it's one of those mysteries for me, I'm afraid, and I have nothing that I can tell you about it. But I've never actually come across any great reference to boating from Snow Hill, who would have had them or what they would have contributed in or taken part in. I presume regattas and stuff like that. Now, the interesting thing about the quay is that on one of the earliest maps I have, 1764, the quay is very clearly laid out in it. Now, it doesn't have the L shape, and there's no notion of a boathouse or anything in the map, but it definitely shows the quay, it shows a roadway up, and it shows the house, and a fairly elaborate garden with it as well. So it dates from at least 1764, and there must have been so much history again connected up with it. What a fine location, to right outside the channel is just off there. It never dries out at the far end. It's a perfect spot, and it's perfectly located or positioned in terms of Waterford, or New Ross, or Cheek Point even, if you wanted to go to Cheek Point. Anyway, it's slowly deteriorating and falling into the river, which is a real shame. But again, it's just one of those interesting place names, one of those fascinating locations, and a place with so much history wrapped up in it. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy this one as well. Take care, and hopefully I'll be back with another one.